You are now listening to episode 70 featuring Justin Holmes.
Wearing the Holmes last name is a badge of honor, so you had to live up to it. There was a light on you, and you truly wanted to shine because you had older cousins, you had brothers, you had so many people to look up to that were amazing athletes. So you just wanted to fall in line and be able to be the next one to carry that torch.
Yeah, gotta aim for the top like, hold up. Yeah, I can never doubt myself, I know better. All of you critics be acting like you know better. Blowing the smoke, but I know when the dust settles. So I'm in my element, it's evident that there's levels to the game.
So, what's going on, people? Today, I have a special guest on my show. It is the person that I looked up to as a youngster and still look up to this day. It's my older brother, Justin. This is a Thanksgiving episode. So, with it being Thanksgiving tomorrow, I decided what better time than to have family on than this week. So, bro, I'm glad I shot you a text and said, hey, you want to come on the show? You said absolutely. And I appreciate you kind of clearing things out and before Sunday football starts, for us to get on here and chop it up a little bit. So welcome to the show. Good to have you on.
Yeah, man, this is awesome. I've been a big fan of what you do. Of course, I follow, and certainly was happy I had the time to sit down and chop it up with you a little bit.
Yeah. I'm gonna try to get through this episode without getting emotional because having my brother on my show is a really big deal. So let's start out with 5 questions. Take a drink before we get into this because, like I said, it's tough not to get a little emotional with my brother on my show. All right. So, first question, as I said, I looked up to you and still look up to you to this day. Who were your role models when you were growing up?
Well, as you know, we have an older brother. He was a big inspiration for just getting into sports. Was easy to follow in his footsteps, and want to try to surpass some of the standards that or goals that he had set or records that he had broken throughout his athletic career. So he was definitely one person I looked up to. Had older cousins as well that were standout athletes. So in order not to be left behind, you wanted to take those strides. And it's no secret that our uncle is one of the most famous, world-renowned former heavyweight boxing champions of the world. So certainly was able to look up to him. And then we always had our dad, right? We didn't get to see him play sports, but he sure taught us a lot. So that kept us going. So I had good, firm foundation in sports to be able to look to and want to follow.
Yeah.
Sure.
So I've always known, obviously I know everything about you, but you grew up wrestling. I never got a chance to see you wrestle ever. And obviously wrestling became my sport along with football. Why did you trade in wrestling for football? Or excuse me, for basketball, I should say.
Yeah, so funny thing, right? It was my sport for a while. I really liked doing it as I, continued to grow and get better. The competition started getting better. Tournaments started to get, more and more involved. I don't think there was a weekend that mom and dad weren't running me to a tournament with you in tow. But I just kind of got burned out. Wrestling wasn't always something that I could see myself doing for the long haul. I like to eat. There's no secret. But as I grew, it just became one of those things where I didn't so much see myself being focused on wrestling. 8th grade summer, going into 8th grade, I dunked a basketball for the first time. And that was a pretty big to do. And then going into that first, gym class, everybody's, doing the usual, trying to grab the backboard or slap the net. And here I was able to grab the rim. And our gym teacher at the time said, if any of you boys that want to, be able to touch the rim or bending the rims. If you could dunk a basketball, you'd be able to not take gym class. And I took that challenge and I was able to dunk a basketball, and he didn't force me to take gym class, but gym was always one of those things that, you wanted to be a stud athlete and performance. So just being able to pull off a dunk in front of some friends in 8th grade changed me for basketball, for better or worse, so to speak.
Yeah. So what were some of your goals and aspirations as a young
Um, Early on, it was more about just being able to play, being with my friends, right? Being able to just go out there and you know put on a good show, be able to demonstrate everything we've practiced, everything that the last name comes with, right? There's some big shoes to fill, right? So I think the biggest part for me was just being able to go out there with my teammates and be one of those people that they could count on to get things done. Whether it was basketball, I wasn't, a scorer, so to speak, but I did all the little things: guard, the top guard, rebound, box out, be the head of the defense if we were pressing, things like that. I took on those roles, right? Not necessarily doing the dirty job, but doing the hard work stuff. And then for football, it was, again, you wearing the Holmes last name is a badge of honor, so you had to live up to it. There was a light on you, and you truly wanted to shine because you had older cousins, you had brothers, you had so many people to look up to that were amazing athletes. So you just wanted to fall in line and be able to be the next one to carry that torch.
athlete? And you're a dad now. Harlow and Saban are awesome kids and they're competing in and of themselves.
Yeah.
How do you impart that same wisdom without being, we were high level athletes. There's not a lot of people that go on and play college sports, and we had a chance to do that. How do you impart wisdom on, 9 and, 5 and 6 year olds as somebody that is a high level athlete without going to that ultimate competitive extreme?
I'm not gonna lie, it's hard, right? I like to be a fan. I really just like to be a fan. I like to have them be coached by others and come to me when, they need that additional assistance. This year was the first year that I actually took on a coaching role. I was able to coach for my son's flag football team, and that opened up a new dynamic. It was hard to witness your 6-year-old son be a quarterback, be a star athlete, be a leader of the team, try to do all those things that you try to keep in the background, or instead of just being out there in the forefront and being that overworked dad. I want them to be kids. For my daughter, who is very athletically inclined, highly energetic, she's probably doing flips somewhere in the house right now, but she's doing sports that I don't have much intake on, right? So I just get to honestly sit back and observe. And I would lie to you if I said I don't hide behind my sunglasses, because it's a very humbling feeling watching and witnessing your children play sports. And before that, I got to watch you play sports, right? The age difference between us allowed me to be a spectator for you. The age difference between us and our older siblings allowed me to be a spectator for them, but never did I expect it to be this much emotion from just that spectator position. So you just try to teach your kids the right thing, right? Good and bad. For the flag football team that I got to coach, we came up with a promise which we gave to them and their parents at the end of the year. And that promise was just to be the best them that they could and be thankful for all the opportunities that their parents provided to them. Whether it was running them to practice, whether it was getting their equipment, whether it was making sure they had water in their water bottles, new mouthpieces, all of those things, and instilling the right things, right? Keeping your hands to yourself when off the field, or doing the right things, sportsmanship, all that stuff. That is the most important piece of it, to where, that's the rewarding things. At a young age, it's not always about wins and losses. It's about learning and taking steps forward. At the flag football level, I can honestly tell you, we had kids that couldn't even do a simple bear crawl, right? By the end of the season, some of those kids that couldn't do it were some of the best kids doing it, right? So it's watching those steps. That's what takes you from being, a novice at being a coach to more experience, but it also takes you from just being a fan to actually being able to put the amount of time in that needs to be there. Mm-hmm. And the last thing that I'll say is, the last thing you want for your children is that they're not being coached by someone that knows the sport. I don't know gymnastics. I certainly don't know cheering other than being a spectator, but I know what it is to be a good support, a good teammate, and that's what I try to instill in my daughter. When it comes to like football or basketball or baseball, even for my son, played all of those sports, so I want him to be able to lean on me when he has questions. And I also, again, want to be a fan, enjoy the game from the 30-yard line, hiding behind my glasses, choking back that emotion, kind of like I did when I watched you at Wilkes. Yeah, that's big.
Yeah, and I have, got my Wilkes football helmet back there. I told them that they weren't getting that back. There was no way. Plus, there's no way that's going to wear that thing. That they have air conditioners and helmets now. That thing just would have been, part of a time capsule somewhere.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
I had to make sure I held on to that one. But how did you know? We, like you said, we grew up with seeing sports at the highest level. We were absolutely. At Caesar's Palace, we were front row. We saw all these different things. We were around NFL players, actors, you name it. We saw all of it growing up. So it's really hard to not want that for yourself, right? You want to play on Sundays. The path we took obviously didn't get us there. We both went on to play at Wilkes, but how did you know that football was the path in college? And not only that, how did you know that Division III was the route that you needed to take to get there?
It wasn't always the route for me. My senior year, I broke my collarbone in high school, 4 games in, and the letters stopped coming. So Division III wasn't on the plate at the time. I was thinking Division I. I was thinking possibly Division II, maybe, if I was going to play football at all. Because baseball was my sport. I was getting the most looks for baseball. And the most travel time, like I said before, like recruiting trips is when I really got to share quality time with Dad. Mm-hmm. Right? Having those conversations on road trips or, trips to schools that were out of town, that's when I got to learn more about just what it was to wear the name, right? Or how proud they were of us being able to, carry that torch or the flag, so to speak. Division III football came into play when there really wasn't another option other than to go far away. And I just thought to myself, I don't want my parents to miss a game, and I don't want to be that far from home. So that was the driver. And then once I got an opportunity to speak with Coach Sheptalk, it was, this is the place I want to go. This is where I want to be. It seemed a lot like home. Wilkes-Barre and Easton don't have a whole lot in common, but when it came down to the school and the people that went to the school, I felt like I was in the right place.
Yeah, I mean, for me, there were a lot more people that were from home when I got to Wilkes than for you, so
Sure.
I had, I mean, you're around some of my teammates now. I mean, Piz was one of the, the coaches with you at Forks. He coached a level up from you.
Yep.
I had to cover him every day. That was rough. He was, All-American tight end in Division III, and I had to cover him all the time. So like, I had pieces of home. Plus, I went to Wilkes because you went to Wilkes, and I knew it was somewhere I could trust, right?
Sure.
It wasn't something that I was walking into blindly. Obviously, I looked at the Wideners and I looked at, the Del Vals and Susquehannas, but when it came to playing football, because I was getting Division I looks for, wrestling, but at that point, my passion for wrestling had, gone by the wayside because of a coach or whatever else. But, for me, I had seen you do it, and that's how I knew that it was the right path for me. And one of the things that you and I have talked about before is, and you've said it, we have the name, the Holmes name that comes with the bright lights, whether you want them or not, you have it, every single thing that we did was more so attached to Uncle Larry than it was to Dad. And that kind of sucked a little bit in just in terms of like wanting it to be more attached to Dad than Uncle Larry. But at that time, Uncle Larry was competing at the same time we were training right alongside him.
That's the establishment. That's what people know, right?
Exactly. So that was like the hard part. But like for you, like he was more so in his prime when you were coming up than when I was coming up. He was still fighting. I think I was in maybe 9th grade or something like that when he had his last fight, but he was the champ basically all of your competitive life. How do you deal with that spotlight yourself and establish yourself as the athlete that you became when you have such a, bright spotlight with our family kind of always there?
Part of it was just recognizing who it was, right? For those that are onlookers, it's the greatest thing in the world.
Mm-hmm.
For those that live inside that bubble, he's an everyday guy, right? That happens to be on top of the mountain, on top of the heap of competitive sports. Having that understanding, right? Having the parents we have that kept us so grounded, down to earth, not believing that we were greater or better than anyone and that we had to work for everything we got because that's how he got there and that's how they established it. Those were the things that kept, the lights a little more dull, right? But you loved seeing your name on Sunday morning, headline in the newspaper. You loved being, what was it? The top 5 athlete, right, of the week. You loved seeing that stuff. Those are the things that helped, drive what we did, right? And then we had good quality rivalries, right? Growing up as we did, playing the sports we did, most of the kids that played football played baseball. Most of the kids that played baseball and football played basketball or wrestled. So they were your competition throughout the year. They were the trendsetters. They were the mark. They were the bar. If they weren't it, you were it, right? So establishing that was a big thing for me. What I can honestly say, I say it all the time, I don't know it any different. Being an athlete draws the pressure. especially if you're a good athlete, especially if you're a leader, a captain, a standout, right? You want to bring on that pressure. You want to alleviate that pressure from your team. You want to take it on and shoulder the load and prove to those that you're here, right? You're here to establish dominance. If it was on the wrestling mat, you want to be able to take over a game. If it's, basketball, you want to shut down their number one scorer. If it's football and, I'm out there on the corner, I want to be on that island. I want to be taking away your number one wide receiver or the tight end, or I want to be making that blitz that, crushes you on 2nd and 7 and puts you at 3rd and 15, right? I want to be that guy.
Yeah. And you were that guy. I said, I grew up watching it, right? So the shoes that I had to fill there were a lot of them, yours being some of them. And I can remember when I got to Wilkes, one of the things you told me before I got there was everyone is good. You were good in high school. You were an all-star. Everyone is good in college. Everyone's an all-star. Doesn't matter. You go Division I, Division II, Division III, JUCO. Everyone is an all-star. Every single person. How did you deal with that one? And you ended up starting all 4 years. That's something I did not do at Wilkes. I started the last 2.5. You started all 4 years in a brand new position, in a brand new defense. I watched your film to learn how to play the position when I got to Wilkes, but you guys had Virginia Tech to look at, right? Like that was the defense that you guys learned it from. But you came in as an underclassman. There was obviously somebody that was in the position, all spring that had that over you. How did you establish yourself as the starter from day one?
I was driven by the nerve. Could throw up on my shoes nervous. Day one. I remember walking in and doing the training day, the combine, and watching a defensive lineman. We called him Rage because he had that tattooed on his back. Watching him bench 225 repeatedly. And that was like, this is different. Take on the challenge or cower, right? Like, it's one or the other, flight or fight. And we're raised in a fighting family, so fight I had to do. Living up to the challenge of being a freshman, I didn't care. The only thing I wanted when I went to Wilkes freshman year was to wear the number 3. It was the only thing I asked them to do. That number in itself is going to be retired, if it's not already retired, by Michael Gundersdorf, who's one of the best wide receivers ever to touch a football field, especially Division III. Could catch everything. I flipped the script. I was a defensive back, and I wanted to stop the Mike Gundersdorfs, right? I wanted to be the answer to that. Whether I did it or whether I didn't do it, the jury's still out. I think I was good enough, and I guess I'm trying to be humble here, but I think I was good enough to say the name had enough light shined on it, right? My freshman year and my sophomore year, there were articles written about me and articles written about our defense and how dominant we were going to be. And, the defense just wanted to prove itself to the offense because we had one of the most high-powered offenses in the conference. Stud running back, stud wide receivers, solid tight ends, a returning punter that, averaged something like 55 yards a punt. We had all the weapons, right? So I wanted to make sure I was doing my part to fit in. And I again, I was always in a leadership role. I always took on that challenge, and I had to prove it to myself. Again, I broke my collarbone my senior year of high school. So I only got to play 3.5 games of football. So I had to, challenge myself to get myself to the next level. And if I didn't, I felt like I'd be letting people down. The conversation that I had with Coach Sheptalk, the scholarship, right? The Mike Glovis Award, like living up to all of those things. Now that I look back at it, like I wanted to make sure that I wasn't slacking a minute, holding those things to, where they needed to be, right? Putting them on the pedestal and giving them the respect, proving that I earned it. Yeah. One of the biggest things for me, and I try to tell new hires, because I'm a sales leader, when I do see new people coming into the office, the biggest thing that I tell them is the expectation is what you set for yourself. There's always going to be pressure because we do sales, right? But if you set high expectation for yourself and try to be better than you were yesterday, the numbers are going to speak for themselves. And that's what drove me at Wilkes. And then as I progressed, junior, senior year, I wasn't giving up my spot. I refused for some new kid to come in and play over me, because it wasn't just about having that physical presence at that point. It was about having the mental presence at that point, being able to communicate with my teammates, being able to read an offense and understand what was happening from formation, and just having that different vision on the game. The game becomes more cerebral than it actually becomes physical. And once you get there, that really unlocks a whole lot of things for you athletically. And that's where I was. And I'm glad I had the opportunity to view the Virginia Tech scheme and see the dominance and all of those things. That's what helped me. Living up to the standard, man, again, every day you just want to do right by the name. You want to make everyone proud. You don't want to take those steps back, because there's enough people trying to pull you down. You just want to rise to the occasion.
But you changed positions going from high school to college. You were a corner.
Yeah.
It's most of the people that are listening to this, watching this, they know the similarities between the two of us. I mean, the only difference was you were a running back in high school. I was a wide receiver. And, I went from a single digit, which is behind me, to a double digit when I got to Wilkes. You went from 30 to 3. I went from 7 to 26.
Yep.
But we played the same position in college. And I can remember making the transition. I mean, I was a corner that first year and then became a rover. You were a rover coming straight in. And we've obviously had these conversations when Coach Sheptalk told me I was moving to rover, you were the first person I called, and you told me everything I had to do and what I had to know, because we ran the same defense. How did you make the transition so quickly, especially in a new defense at a new level, to go from high school corner who hadn't played the game in a little under a year from being out to being the starting rover in such a dominant defense?
The corner position my freshman year was stacked at Wilkes. So in order to get on the field, you either had to beat one of them out, one of them had to get hurt, or you had to play on special teams and do what you had to do to get on the field. Rover, being as that it was a brand new position to the team, was up for grabs. There were some upperclassmen that were in the position, but I made myself stand out, and I made my talent not be able to be overlooked. just by making plays, pass deflections, tackles, reading formations, watching film, first one in, last one out. That type of mentality is what put me in position to play the game.
What was your welcome to college football moment? Mine, thank God, happened in practice. Never forget it. I was on my first blitz during live period 1-versus-1, and I decided, when they tell you you're not going to get there, so try and get up there and knock the ball down. That's what happened. I was blitzing against our best lineman, who just happened to be like 6'3", 6'4", and he caught me in the air because I tried to jump and knock the ball down. He caught me, he brought me down to eye level, and he said, "Don't do that." And he sat me down like I was just like a child, like on my feet. And I was like, all right, got to learn to be quicker than these guys. What was your welcome to college football moment, and how did it leave a lasting impact on you?
Welcome to college football moment. Muhlenberg. We scrimmaged Muhlenberg at Muhlenberg. They ran a double reverse. I was matched up against the slot receiver. He went in motion from the right defensive side to the left. They snapped the ball, and he looped back around. The play started towards me, so it started right. I started coming up, or actually it started away from me. The play action started away from me, and that guy that motioned across, which I didn't follow because we were in a zone, he then got a reverse handoff. And not paying attention to the guy that was outside of me, the wide receiver 1, I went to make my drop step and open towards the sideline. And as I opened towards the sideline, he ear-holed me. My head bounced off the turf. And he stood over top of me.
AstroTurf. That was horrible.
He stood over top of me, and he said, "Welcome to college football, Holmes." And I believe to this day that was probably one of the kids that was a chaperone when I was being recruited by Muhlenberg. That pretty much took my head off. That was welcome to college football, right? That was head on a swivel. If you don't see it, you get laid out. Football was different then, for sure, right? Today's game, he's ejected probably for spearing, things like that. So, yeah, my welcome to college football moment was there. That I'll never forget it, ever.
Yeah, those are moments you certainly do not forget. And everybody has tough moments. I had a tough moment. I mean, I gave up a 99-yard touchdown in college. Like, it happens. You know what I mean? I'm like, it is what it is. And it happens at all levels. I mean, we met a guy that ran 99 yards. I mean, Tony Dorsett did it in the pros. So I'm like, I'm not immune to giving up a touchdown here either. Happen. You know what I mean? And that short memory type of thing that you have to have as a football player, especially as a defensive back who can, give up big time touchdowns like that transfers over into life. And, it's probably a gift and a curse, because now you just kind of let things roll off your back sometimes, or, you just have that short memory where stuff doesn't get to you as much. And, but like, what would you say you've taken from sports that is implemented every single day, even though you're not strapping on a helmet?
Every single day, I would say, 1, believe in yourself. Believe in the ability that you have. 2, be better than you were the day before. And the third one is be grounded. Be willing to understand and listen. When when you rush through things, it often puts you in positions that you either can't get out of, or you kind of trap yourself, right? For me, my welcome to college football moment, I trapped myself. I was way too ahead of myself, trying to, get to the front side of the play when I should have stayed home, knowing my principles. Now, as I progressed in my college career, that stay home moment stayed with me. I always made sure, head on a swivel, see the backside, see the play throughout. Read and then react, not react and re-react, right? So that's the translation for me. Constantly trying to be better than I was yesterday. For the organization that I work for, we're a leader in so many categories. Data and analytics is what we do. So we have to answer to so many different styles of people, so many different industries, right? So listening is very key. It may seem similar, just, the nature of the business that they're in, but everybody's story is different. So give them the chance to tell it, and, then you put yourself, or you put your product to their need, addressing the value. What my 44-year-old self would tell my 19-year-old self is, don't overdo it. Don't get yourself so consumed in the day-to-day, because life is happening and it's not guaranteed. And that's part of that bend, don't break mentality. That's part of that shake it off, right? You're going to give up a 99-yarder once in a while, but it's the sack on 2nd and 7 to force them into 3rd and 15. It's the pass breakup when it's 3rd and 3 and they run play action your way. It's the interception when they need it, right? It's those things. Some people are going to remember when you made a mistake. Some people are going to be looking forward to you making that mistake. But we all know the heart of a champion is not measured in whether you get knocked down. It's how many times you get back up, right? All those cliches, they play a big role. And I guess that's what translates, right? Being able to play for a #1 defense in the MAC, being able to be all area or all conference, and doing all of those things come with just having a firm foundation, good principles, being sound, read and react, that type of thing. Don't rush in, but again, be better than you were the day before. Those things. As an athlete, I think any college athlete, no matter what, Division 1, 2, 3, junior college, will tell you as they grow, they start to rely more on their fundamentals than those, outstanding plays that are made just by God's gift, right? The one-hand interceptions, yeah, you can practice that every once in a while, right? You can try to do that. You could set up the jugs machine and, go stand there and catch 1,000 balls. You can do all of those things. But it's the reaction in the play, in the moment. Those are the things that you can never teach to that, right? So I think those are the moments that, from a leadership standpoint, you just try to be calm and consistent and fall back on, the principles that you know. But from an athletic background, it's again, reading your keys, being firmly grounded, trusting, right? Trust the process, as they would say, right? I think the 76ers coined that one. But I think the more you trust in the process, the more you learn and grow and develop, and that helps everybody.
So everyone literally, that listened to this, just you basically got a glimpse into what my conversations are like when I talk to my older brother. It's normally like this. I mean, it's normally memes and jokes and, stupid videos,
Yeah.
but about 15 to 20% of the time it's conversations like this. And it's easy to see why I looked up to you and look up to you. We're 8.5 years apart, but everybody says we're the same damn person. I don't know. I don't see it. I'm lying. But honestly, like it was dope to sit here, listen to you talk about things that I obviously know, but never got your perspective on. So I appreciate it. It was awesome. Like I said, it's Thanksgiving time. Had to have my brother on my show. So I really appreciate it. I'm sure that the children are chomping at the bit to be loud. So I'm gonna let you go handle the kids and have some fun watching some football and probably doing the same thing I do of yelling at the TV or breaking down the play, saying exactly what the announcer is going to say, just all those really fun things. Bro, I appreciate it. Thank you for coming on. I'll see you Christmas is when I'll be home. So I'll see you then.
All right, man. I will see you Christmas. A big rivalry game in at Mom's house, definitely, with the Washington Commanders and the Cowboys. So I'll probably be sitting by myself, I'm pretty sure. Rooting for the Commanders, of course.
That's kind of the only spot that we differ is the pro teams. Anywhere else, we're all good.
I know, man. I again, when you asked me to do this, I was, I'll clear whatever I need to clear, right, to make that happen. Today being Sunday, very relaxed day. Just gotta watch some football and get to enjoy that. Thank you very much for asking me. Truly appreciative. I enjoy watching you and all of your success. You started this conversation by saying it's going to be tough to be non-emotional. I'm a fan, man. I'm a fan. So I don't have glasses to put on to hide behind, but truly a fan. Congratulations on all of your success, and anybody who's watching, continue to watch, spread the word, because he's doing big things. I appreciate it. Thank you very much.